Juliana!
Vivian!
So you are one of the XR producers and immersive artists that I admire the most. And so thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
You don't have to ask twice.
Okay, so you've been doing cool shit with Tiltbrush. Tell me a little bit more about how you got into Tiltbrush.
Oh, wow. I guess, I think I saw a couple of pictures of some people who were painting one day, and it was really, really long time ago. I think it was 2016. And I thought to myself when I first saw it, I'm like, you know what? I could do better. Well, it wasn't anything. It was just like, but when I first got in, I was like, I actually couldn't do better. I did much worse.
How long did it take you to feel like you got proficient, and then how long did it take you to develop your own style?
Well, proficiency. I think it took me about, the funny thing is, like, the first time I tried it, I just loved it, and I was just able to create anything that I wanted to do in my mind's eye. And it was like, oh my God, I can do this. This is so strange. And it wasn't really much of a ramp up. So I was pretty lucky that way.
Like, you're really known for these like very visual, very urethral kind of environments. Like, one of my favorite pieces that you've done is the Christmas piece. The Christmas landscape. You know, there were different like terrains you could go to. There was like a lake, a mountain, there were different houses, there was a tree with a surprise inside. Tell me more about your creation process. Like, when you were dreaming up your Christmas Tiltbrush experience, what were you thinking?
This is a pretty easy question, because I think during December we had the coronavirus was still going on, and the pandemic was really difficult to deal with. And I think, as much as I do, we just wanted to go out and play, and there was no place to play. And, they closed down everything because we couldn't hang out with each other. So we decided that, we're just going to create our own fun little place, or our little like Christmas utopia in Tiltbrush, in Altspace VR, in any of the social VRs would have been great anyway. And I think what we really wanted to do was we wanted to bring healing to the world through imagination and through spirit and through play. And we did, and it turned out to be really, really good. We didn't sleep for like 4 weeks, but
you know that we got it done, and you brought a lot of joy to a lot of people, because I loved it. I loved the the lights. Like, you had a lighting area with all these like magical lights, and you felt you were transported somewhere else, and that's what made it so special. Like, this feeling of like teleportation, like into another magical realm. How much of being a 5-year-old plays into your practice?
You're so funny, because you are the original 5-year-old.
I am a totally 5-year-old. I know. I'm lying to you. I'm like, I may look like an adult, but
no, totally not.
Yeah.
God, I don't think that you can really access that sense of play until you just let go of control, and you let go of what people think about you, and then you dive deep into those areas of discovery and wonder and awe that kind of attracted to you, to what you did when you're 5 years old, and you just jump into it, and then you play around, and you see what you can come up with.
So as a creator, you're basically saying you tap into that spirit on a very frequent basis then?
Yep, I think so, and sometimes more with some people than others.
Yes, I know, we're like forever 5 together. You've been doing some really amazing collaborations with Burning Man, and recently you're doing a play in New York City, and doing collaborations with a play that's based out of the Shed. Tell us a little bit more about how these collaborations form, and tell us a little bit about those 2 projects, perhaps. Maybe we'll start with Burning Man.
Okay, so last year I'd never been to Burning Man physically before, and I don't know whether I would have the chance to do it, so I thought, my friend asked me, Andy Fidel, hey Andy, Andy, she's a good friend of mine, and she asked me to collaborate with her, and we were creating this really amazing space for people to come and on board into Burning Man. So
Yeah, because Burning Man went virtual, right? Like people couldn't meet this year, and so Burning Man literally went virtual and in virtual reality, right?
it did. It was for the first time.
So
ever.
you're part of the orientation. You built the orientation space.
We kind of did it together, and we
Cool.
did some stages and presentations where people could just go in and do some stuff, do some fun stuff like play instruments and talk poetry slam. It was fun. It was just one of those things where you never think you get the chance to do, and then you do it, and you're like, wow.
And there was this goddess installation that you did, right? So tell me a little bit more of that goddess installation that you did. You did this environment with this beautiful goddess installation.
I think, golly, I've done. You know what? I've done so many installations and so many of them are, I suppose, goddess looking like. Yeah. Joined a group, this community here at VR Art Live, and I've met some really nice people, and just enjoyed that sense of community and play and that spirit of cooperation. So yeah, there's been a lot of places.
So Google's changing some stuff right now. Like, isn't Google Poly becoming end of life discontinued? How's that going to impact you as a creator? like in 24 hours, it's going to be like close down. I mean, they're open sourcing it. So, but what happens? Like, what happens in 24 hours?
I am going to put all my money and just my belief in the collective, and to think that a lot of people who are the developers out there, I think they're going to come together and they're just going to magically help us out. Well, it's happening right now. So Tiltbrush, I believe, and then open source, because it's open source, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities.
So this community may evolve and
you
become something even more, because the community now creates it, right?
Oh, for sure. I think it's opened up a completely different spectrum, and that I think we're going to see some interesting things coming in the next couple of years. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I'm seeing this trend. I really do believe that we're heading into this creator renaissance, and I believe that communities will fund and support creators that create work that they love and bring joy and bring inspiration. And so I think there's going to be a shift, and I think as you guys move to open source and community, as you guys create value for one another, there'll be hopefully some ways to kind of monetize and make money to continue to fund the community. So I'm very hopeful that that's going to naturally happen.
Well, the NFTs and the blockchain and all those opportunities that are coming out that I can't speak so specifically about because it's so broad. One of the really interesting things, programs that came out is Multibrush, which I use right now and have been using with the people at the Shed right now, the play that I'm working on in New York. And the art director and I would jump into Multibrush, which allows us to collaborate and to figure out how we're going to create something, like both of us in the same world. And so, she'd give me an idea with a teeny tiny sketch, and I'd look at it and kind of go, what could that possibly look like? And I would just sketch it out right there in front of her. So looking at something like that and being able to create it in real time has cut down production by like 80% for sure.
So everything's happening in real time now, right? Through cloud, SaaS-based collaborative tools, right?
Yep. And that's what people want, and that's what people need, and that's we're closing in on that.
Remember when there was faxes back in the day? Do you guys remember? I mean, Gen Y, Gen Z, there used to be faxes. You would like fax these like documents to one another, and it would take like 10 minutes, and it'd go, and it would be like 10 minutes like that. You would get a thing, and you mark it up, and then you would fax back, and this would go back and forth. And like the world has just completely changed. Everything's like happening in the here and the now. And you get instant feedback on those edits, and it's just incredible. It's just in my life, that whole interplay has completely changed.
Well, I mean, look at what we're doing right now, right? Like, we're saying hi to the audience, we're connecting with everybody online almost instantly, and it's been a lot of fun. And I think what it's really done is it's opened up our world to be like even more advocates for particular causes. And you know a lot about this, Vivian. And so it's given us an agency, in fact, to go out there and to empower ourselves and others in so many different subjects. You know, what are we working on right now? We're working on inclusion, diversity.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's about giving new voices, more voices, a platform to tell their stories, to tell their expressions, to tell their expertise. And
Right.
and I think, you know, now that you've got video, you've got XR, you've got holographic human holograms. I mean, there's more
Yeah.
ways to tell your story and your narrative than ever before. And I think that's a good thing. I think we do need to diversify our thinking and to give all points of view space,
Yeah.
so that we deepen our understanding of our own humanity and what it is to be human, because it's different for everyone.
I think when you start to tap into your creativity in such a way as to communicate your own story, in however way you want to do it, like for me, I use the visual Tiltbrush, and I tell the stories that highlight some particular cases and advocate certain support networks. I think. Sorry.
Just pause.
Yeah.
Let the helicopter take off.
There's a helicopter.
It's a helicopter.
Don't move.
What?
You're not allowed to move.
No.
You have
The
to
helicopter's
stay in
being
the
noisy. The
position.
helicopter's
Where's the helicopter?
it's being noisy.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Noisy
It's just-
helicopter.
We don't want it to become a focus.
Yes,
and
thank you.
I would also say
I didn't even know that.
probably wind it up.
Yeah,
and
I have one.
Yeah.
I have one last question. Okay.
Okay.
Come on,
So is it
position.
gone? Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
it's
done?
done. So,
And then we
Julie.
get to eat. Oh, sorry. What?
Yeah, and then we get to eat food. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Okay.
last question. So, Juliana, let's leave with the last question. What do you want to create next? What are the stories you want to tell next?
Wow. The funny thing is, I want to tell stories that. I want to tell stories about diversity and inclusion, very much so, because I think that it's really important for people to actually see themselves in the new media and in the new kind of artworks and like what you were saying, new technologies. Because if somebody who sees that, somebody who's young or represents a group that hasn't really had a chance to voice their concerns or opinions or stories before, I want them to look at that and kind of go, we want to do that. We'd love to be able to advocate for that, to get educated, to teach others, and then finally to have a seat at the table where they too can change things in the entertainment world, the media world, or health, or wherever they find themselves fit. Yay!
So I agree. It's this notion of that could be me. That could be me.
Yep.
That my world is expansive and that there are many careers that I can be in because that can be me. And I think we have a responsibility to show everyone that you can be anything you want to be, from creative, technical, to the business side of things. That can be you. So thank you so much for joining me, 5-year-old Juliana. You were kind of like an adult today, so that was pretty toned down. But thank you for.
Well, the 5-year-old in me loves the 5-year-old in you.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for making time.
Yay!
Yay! It's a wrap.
Wrap!
Hello, everybody. Welcome for joining us on our discussion and chat with the incredible creative XR producer, Juliana Loh. So first of all, Juliana, congratulations on being named one of the 100 original voices in the augmented reality, virtual reality space by Avi Bar Zev. Avi Bar Zev, for those of you who do not know, is behind so many of the leading technologies. He was the inventor of HoloLens, and he was bringing virtual reality experiences to Disney in the 90s. And so he is someone that admires you, Juliana, deeply. To kind of get things kick-started, this is going to be just a conversation, a follow-on conversation. For those of you that are dialing in live right now, please submit your questions in the questions console. We'll have a short chat and drill into some more things around what Juliana Loh is working on. So Juliana, what creative projects do you have next and that you can share and that you're excited about? Give us a little bit of a lowdown on that. I'm excited to hear what you're doing next.
So thank you first for having me on this Vivian channel. It's been so much fun. Um, I I have been working on right now one of my dream people, which is Sarah Hill, and she heads up Helium XR, and I have a huge affinity with mental health. And she brings she helps people from sort of like a trauma mode to calm using VR. And I'm creating the world build around her project, which is going to be in alt space. And it's really, really exciting because she's so innovative and she's so open to reaching so many people in her user base and so forth. That it's very exciting. We can't wait to do it. Oh, we're
That's great.
yeah.
And then how
Uh,
did you, Sarah Hill, connect? Like, how are you? You're always in like the center vortex of what's going on in XR. So like, how did you and Sarah connect, and how did you over time come up with this collaboration? How does it work, Juliana? Because that's something that I think you do better than anyone I know.
well, thanks. Thank you. I'm actually a really shy person. A lot of people know that. So yeah, and I I had a dream a long time ago. I wanted to actually create my own mental health app, and it was called Calm My Chaos. So I actually sought Sarah out. I went to a conference. So, everybody, if you're really interested in doing things, find your heroes. Went to a conference, met her for a little bit, and spoke, just connected. And then the next year, um, I won a ticket to go to AWE, which is the Augmented World Expo, and we were roommates. So that was really cool. We just really hit it off really well. And then we just continued a really nice friendship. And that's really what it's all about. It's just connecting with people and really, really listening, just to find out who they are and what their needs are, what do they want. And then at some point later on, you're not asking for anything, you're not looking for anything, you're just looking for that connection that might turn into whatever, and just being open to it.
No, and it's a good reminder. AWE is happening in Santa Clara in November again, and that's like another one of those amazing events, along with Global VR AR Summit that's going virtual and taking place. Like, these are places of moments of connection, and that's where we met. We met at the Global AR VR Summit. No, actually, we met at a Vancouver meetup about, gosh, I'm
Yep.
scared to say, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So one of the things that also that I've always come to you on is around just the creative process for building in virtual reality and augmented reality. You understand the tools, you understand the design process. It's still a relatively new and emerging area because there's so much experimentation. Could you give us some insights into maybe one project or some of your tips around your creative process and how you go about building in 3D and in immersive?
Yeah, well, I think part of it is so I've been experimenting with spatial, everything spatial, like for a really long time. And I started with using 360 video. So, there was this progression almost. So being able to kind of really be in that particular space, to know what the brand and the story is all about, is really key. To be able to understand what the users require, what their needs are. Um, and um, so if I'm working in different modalities. For example, if I'm creating pre-concept work for games, that I'm kind of doing one right now, I will go into sort of like I'll divide everything up into cells, and I will take people into their own preconceived virtual world, and I'll lay out what do people see, what do they hear, what do they encounter, and I do everything from a user experience process. So it's a very human centric way of looking at things. It's very sensory focused. And then after that, I map it out with, like, what will I entwine it with the story? What's the story that we have to move people through? What are they going to experience at each beat? And one of the things that I did very early in my career is I got into acting. So I did, yeah, I did acting for about 2 years. So I learned how to define the scripts and tease everything out and learn about the beats and I didn't think I really did it just to help me with public speaking. Everybody, sing for public speaking, and and then it turned out into it really worked very well for the way that I was actually dividing everything up in the spatial realities. Um, and so when you learn how to act, or when you learn to empathize, or sit or be in somebody else's shoes, I think you start to figure out what what motivates them, what kind of modalities actually help them more than anything else. Like for example, I'll use not only visual but a lot of audio cues, right? So depending on who I'm working with, maybe if it's an elderly crowd, or maybe if it's for young people. So I have to really figure out, in a sense, who they are, what their needs are, and what the story is, and how to further it along. I kind of hope that helps.
Yeah, so just to kind of build on that, it's a bit of choreography is what I'm hearing. So when you're building in augmented reality or virtual reality, there's a level of choreography that takes place. Like I guess my question is, like, there's obviously the storyline and the storyboard that we all are used to in videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
There may be movement, there may be also audio. How does it differ? How does this modality of spatial XR differ than making a video, as an example, or is it similar? I know you've had experience doing both. So how would you guide people that are new to building content in this space?
I think that I would have to. I think one of the things that's really important is to have the people come into the space itself. So for those who don't really understand that, we actually put them in the Oculus Quests right now, and then we have them experience many different formats. Like we'll pick maybe 4 or 5 different ways of being able uh, to to understand how spatial works. Like we'll have them watch a 360 video, maybe 3 or 4, but we'll have them play a game like Beat Saber or something like that. And then we'll actually bring them into some of the pre-concept programs that allow you to go in and physically create things yourself. So you're seeing, you're viewing, you're experiencing, and then you're doing. And that kind of really helps people along.
That is so insightful, because what I'm hearing from you, unlike other mediums, it's an experience. It's a medium that you have to experience firsthand. You can't over analyze it over a planet. You just have to experience it, and then through that experience, you can build it from there. But you gotta have to, like, have that visceral, physical, interaction with it. We've got a question from one of the audience's members. The question is, what advice do you have for aspiring XR artists?
Well, I get asked that a lot, and I think I think you know what, the one thing that you can really do is just to get out there and play. You have playing means just being able to grasp everything, to be able to experiment, to not be afraid of failing, and to have a sense of wonder and awe in being able to be in the space to begin with, and to maybe have the chance to experiment with even somebody else. So when you're a kid and you're playing games, you don't realize how much you're learning. And learning should never be hard. It should never be labor laborious. It should be fun, and that's the one important thing. Number two, get into hackathons. I mean, I cannot stress that enough. I've been working as a mentor for hackathons. I've been doing game hackathons. I've been coming up. I think in October, I'm going to be working on another hackathon for the Renaissance Theater here, Renaissance Opera, and we're going to be doing like a 3-day opera hack, basically using spatial XR. So that's going to be fun, and that's I would you're going to meet your network at hackathons, and you're going to learn from each other more than anything, because more than anything in space using spatial technology, you can't do it yourself. you have to rely on everybody else's skills and talents. So I hope that helps. Another thing that you can do is just along the lines of playing, experiment with like Snapchat and Adobe Arrows, Spark AR, and then go play Minecraft and Roblox and your Beat Saber, and take note of the way people interact, and especially how you feel in your body as you're going through the process, because that's going to inform what part of the XR landscape you might adhere to.
And we had talked about this earlier in the interview, but what's the prologue to the Tiltbrush community? We talked about people stepping up for the community now that Google's wind down their support for Tiltbrush. What's happened since? Like, can you tell us what's happened since and how community has stepped up?
Well, we were right. I mean, there are brilliant developers all over the world, and so many of them have come together under OpenBrush and many other platforms, and they've, I think I got to say hurrah to those developers, because I think within a span of 130 days or 150 days, they were able to create the platforms that were required um, by a lot of the Tiltbrush artists. Like, instead of Google Poly, we have Icosa Brush, sorry, like Icosa Brush, and I think having faith in the community is key to all our successes, and our community is just built on that collaboration. So, yay, Icosa Brush.
And yay, community. And that kind of leads to a piece. If any of you are thinking of getting into XR, are joining the community, already in it, and are interested in connecting with Juliana Loh and myself, we're going to post our LinkedIn addresses so that you can connect with us. Me and you, Juliana, we've always been very supportive and nurturing of collaborations, because at the end of the day, it really is about community. It's about finding like-minded people that want to experiment, build, and create new things together. And I feel very fortunate, because I do feel that the AR VR community is a strong one, and very open to new voices and new people and collaborations. I can't. It's been a wonderful 8-year journey for me, being part of this community. I know for you much longer.
Uh, well, what you've done, and I really support you in this, is that you've actually created many resources for the AR and VR community to grow. In fact, I think you have a resource page right now that I think our viewers can actually go to and visit. So I would highly recommend that. Thank you very much, Vivian, for being one of the strongest leaders that I've ever seen and known. Thank for as part of the Vancouver community. Thank you,
Yeah,
and
you're welcome.
global community as well.
You're welcome. I mean, my intention is just to bridge as many groups and ideas and opportunities for everyone. I think it's going to take an army for us to figure out how to build, create, and build technology that's also sustainable, but also mindful. We've got a lot to learn from each other. So I want to just actually, another question from the audience is, any recommended websites to keep your eye on? Are there any websites that you go to regularly to connect with community, or people you read that do some great writing?
No, I mean, I tend to look at, like, I gather a lot of information from folks from Twitter. So use your social media networks a lot, because that's where you're going to find out, what's trending, who's doing what, and what the opportunities are. If the reason why I like going to Twitter especially is because there's some places like the XR Women, who are very proactive in terms of getting the diverse groups out. There's the Oculus Launchpad, Oculus people, and then there's the gaming community, which which is so strong. Like, and typically hang out with a lot of gamers and a lot of writers because they help me to change my mindset. So that's the best I can say for you. But if, and hang out in horizons, like actually go into get your headgear on, go into some of these worlds like Roblox and Minecraft, Horizons, Alt Space, VR chat, and go find community. Because you know what, that a lot of people are really generous right now. We're just starting it all out, and there's a lot of sharing going on. That's the best information that I can give to you.
Amazing. So last question. Juliana, you've worked on so many interesting projects of late. You've worked on the unofficial Burning Man party. Burning Man's gotten so big that now there's an underground party that you're a part of. You worked on the Shed, bringing New York City's first in-person play with sort of immersive elements to it. What's your next dream project? If you were to dream big, what would that dream collaboration or mashup look like?
Wow. I mean, there's so many things that I really want to do, but I was given the opportunity to speak at South by Southwest this year. So one of the persons whom I connected with, when he saw my artwork, he said to me, "Your artwork belongs with someone like Lady Gaga." So I'm like, really? And you never know where your work might land. But I've always dreamed of like, like maybe one day my work might be in Coachella or some of the music festivals or with Lady Gaga. I'd even imagine my work projected on a wall of an entire hotel. I mean, I'm dreaming huge. I'm dreaming really, really big because you know what? It just might happen.
Well, I'm excited for what's to come, Juliana. I think you're leading the pack on so many areas around Tiltbrush, but also the creative design process. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to have a very busy and productive next couple years. You already are, and I can't wait to go to a Lady Gaga concert with you with some of your immersive creations there. I think let's dream big, and thank you again so much for making time today with us on Vivian Channel and being my first person that I'm interviewing. So with that, everyone, thank you so much for making time on your Wednesday to join us. We've got future episodes of Vivian Channel coming up. Next week, we're meeting with Vanessa Leclerc, who is an association expert and leader, and we're going to talk about how associations are navigating and planning for 2022. Join us on Vivian Channel, join us on Twitter and whatnot, and we look forward to seeing you again on one of our weekly episodes.